Yes. What is big and flies over us? Asteroid. Okay. Space objects for 20, please. Anyway, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. We're joined right now by our friend Congressman Rush Holt from the great state of New Jersey. He is, I might point out, a Democrat, 12th Congressional District, and holds a PhD in physics. And did I know this, that you were a 5-time winner of Jeopardy?
If you were watching, it's good to be with you, Steve.
Yes, thank you.
And by the way, you can come out from under your desk now. The threat of this asteroid is past us.
Yes. No, that's I understand that. They say it was as big as or as long as the Golden Gate Bridge, and the CNN actually had a countdown clock going as to what, not for the end of the world, but when it would be at its closest to us. Again, we talked when the asteroid landed in Russia, and then in close proximity, a day later or a day before, I think a day later, we were supposed to have that big giant asteroid pass us by. So I thought of you naturally when I knew that this one was coming. And you read all kinds of stories, and now I see that this giant asteroid flyby sets off a study. Astronomers plan to study to see how to avoid future catastrophes. But it seems like every time there is one of these, we talk about that, but is there any real way to, if they thought one was headed, I mean, is there any real way to divert it?
Well, so Steve, you only think of me during
No, I got a lot of
events.
I got a lot of other questions for you here now that you mentioned it, but go ahead.
There are a lot of suggestions depending on how much notice there is, and which is the reason that it does make sense to have a monitoring program with Earth-based telescopes, perhaps some space-based telescopes, tracking these things. Because if you know far enough ahead of time, say a year ahead of time or several years ahead of time, you have to give them only the slightest nudge to send them thousands or millions of miles away from Earth. And so, I mean, if they had been calculated to head toward the Earth, just a little nudge would send them away for generations to come. And you could nudge them with an impact from a rocket. You could what they call ablate some material on the surface. In other words, shine a bright laser on there, and if you blow some debris off one side, it pushes by equal and opposite reaction under Newton, it sends it the other direction.
Right, but so they're confident enough in their calculations years in advance that they know that by doing something like that to this, that they're not actually going to push it towards us, that they're actually going to take it away from us.
Yes, I think they're that confident. I hope we can be that confident in their confidence.
And of course, I think I mentioned at the beginning here, I did previous to you coming on, that you hold a PhD in physics. So and that's where you get your expertise from. But it's very interesting. It really is fascinating. And I don't know, do they know when the next big countdown clock that'll appear on the cable stations is? Is it coming soon or what?
I should point out that this asteroid that went by today was a dozen times farther away than the moon. So
right.
This is close only if you think in astronomical units.
Right, I got you.
Astronomical terms. Yes, this is relatively close considering how vast and empty space is.
Right.
Yes, there are some 1,000 of these that are of this size or larger, and astronomers think they have a pretty good handle. Maybe not 100%, but really a very good catalog of things this big that come anywhere close to intersecting.
Well, I guess that's a good thing.
And anything this big would be truly cataclysmic.
Sure, absolutely.
We had talked.
But as you point out,
about this Russian thing at Chelyabinsk, and that was only a dozen or 15 meters across, or something like that.
Right.
10 or 12 meters. This is 100 times bigger than that.
Absolutely.
And so things that are a lot smaller, 1/100th the size or something like that, there must be tens of thousands of those, and
Well, I wouldn't want to be the one, Congressman. I wouldn't want to be the one to keep track. I wouldn't want to. I'm sorry to interrupt. I wouldn't want to be the one to keep track of them, but I'm glad they are. We only have a couple of minutes, and I do want to ask you just a couple of questions. Yeah. First of all, today again we hear warnings about cyber attacks and crippling, dangerous cyber attacks from China that are possible. We heard it from our Defense Secretary today, and I was wondering if you have any feelings. The U.S. The Committee on Foreign Investment cleared a takeover of Sprint, the third largest wireless provider in this country, by a Japanese country, a Tokyo-based country that has ties to a Chinese corporation that has spyware that has been used in cyber attacks. I mean, is this troubling to you? Do you think we need to give this specific deal more scrutiny, especially when there's Dish Network that wants to buy Sprint? I mean, it just seems very troubling.
Well, sure, it's troubling, and all of the messing around in cyberspace is troubling. Whether it's by a country that is up to no good, or whether it's some malicious individuals or group. Sure, we become overly dependent on our electronics, and I do think that rather than go to war over it, we'd better.
But how about more? We only got 30 seconds, Congressman.
We'd better find ways to be more resilient.
How about more scrutiny for these kinds of deals, though, from Congress?
Sure. I mean, there's really no reason why we should cede to other countries our most important electronics.
All right, Congressman, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you. Congressman Rush Holt, we'll have you back soon. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The Steve Malzberg Show.